issue that the Democrats should fear the most, more than anything about Biden's age or stage. Policy. Southern border. Democratic congressman, future leader in the party, okay? Raja Krishnamurthy, all right? Member of the Oversight and Intel Committees, ranking member, popular there, progressive guy, smart guy. Congressman, thank you for joining us on the show again.
Hey, thanks, Chris.
Now, full disclosure to the audience, Raj has wanted to do things on immigration. Okay? He is not an open border guy. He doesn't use those words. He thinks those are silly words. But how concerned are you, Raj, that you guys are going to wear this like a yoke the entire election, and that Lakin's name is going to become synonymous with a porous border that Democrats allowed to become deadly?
I'm concerned, but on the other hand, we need that bipartisan border deal, which unfortunately Donald Trump decided to sink. And as a consequence, I think that, he looks very obstructionist at this point. You're absolutely right. We shouldn't have released that guy from the facility when he was caught by ICE, but there weren't the resources for additional facilities for him. And this package would have provided them, Chris. So that's why we need this right now.
I'm with you. I'm with you, except one, Mr. Krishnamurthy, help me with something and tell me I'm being too cynical. I think Schumer came up with this bill now to give Biden cover on a horrible border policy pedigree, that his record stinks. And he waved in the Venezuelans with temporary protected status, and this guy is one of them. So they brought up this bill now, put the poison pill of Ukraine funding in it when they knew the right would go crazy about that, so that it wasn't done in good faith to pass it. And even without the bill, Biden, by executive order, could have done things to stop, catch, and release and to help close down the process down there until the resources can catch up. Where am I wrong?
Well, I think James Lankford, the Republican senator from Oklahoma, would say you're dead wrong. They were negotiating in good faith for months to try to get to a deal. And once they did, and once they achieved the very policy goals that apparently other Republicans demanded of Lankford and others in this border deal, that's when Donald Trump sunk it. And one thing, I just want to point out, I came up to New York a few weeks ago to campaign for Tom Suozzi, and as you know, this issue was a huge issue in that campaign. Suozzi leaned hard into this, and he explained to the voters that, look, we have to solve this problem. This is a real crisis. Donald Trump does not want it solved. You decide where we need to go, meaning you voters. They decided to put Suozzi in there by a big majority. So I think this is exactly what we need to lean into, Chris.
Right. Look, as you probably know, I know Mr. Suozzi very well. I literally grew up with him. I see the race a little differently. I would have been shocked if he had lost. He held the seat before. Santos is an embarrassment to public service. And obviously, Tom Suozzi has a very deep legacy in that area. But fair point. He was way more aggressive on the issue than President Biden is, or just about any other Democrat. He sounded more like a Republican than a Democrat when he was talking about how awful it is down there, and he blames Democrats for the status quo.
I personally think that this is something that we Democrats should not run away from. We shouldn't dodge. We should lean into it, and we should own it. But we should own it with Republicans. We have to have a bipartisan approach here, and we have to say, look, the border is broken right now. The immigration system is broken right now. Let's fix it together. Let's do it right now. Let's not play politics, and let's not save it as an issue for Donald Trump and his election campaign.
He helped you. He helped you with that move. I'll give it to you. But you're so underwater on this issue that, I know you've heard this all the time, and it's very frustrating to Democrats. If it were anybody else, you're right. Trump saying, don't do anything about it, let me run on it, would be a death sentence. But he's not anybody else. And for whatever reason, people's deep feelings of grievance override their judgment of his character flaws. And when they look at this issue, they say, you know what? Krishnamurthy is a smart guy. He's right. They should do more. But Biden could stop the bleeding tomorrow morning. He could write an executive order saying this is an emergency, no more processing of any kind, create some little kind of carve out so that they don't drag you into The Hague for a violation of international law, some treaty we signed. But other than that, it all stops now until they get the resources done in a bipartisan way. Why not add that piece of immediate action?
I think that executive action is in order, and I think the president is looking at that right now. But there are three reasons why it's very challenging to get the solution we need without legislative action. One, we have to change the asylum law itself, Chris.
Yes.
The standard is not correct. It's way too low.
Yes.
Secondly, we have to add facilities for precisely the reasons that you set forth. The murderer of the UGA student should not have been released. He should have been kept in detention. And then the third point is that we need to limit the numbers fundamentally of the people who can come across the border at any one time. Without those three changes, Chris, I think that executive action might have some effect, but it's not going to have the full desired impact.
Your points are salient. The third one I could push back on, and executive action would help on the third one. And if nothing else, it would show effort, which I think is what you guys are going to be saddled with most here. But I'll tell you what, you see the issue with clear eyes. I do not blame all members of either party. I take everybody individually about where they are on issues. I know you're acting on this in good faith. Anybody can Google you and they'll see about it. And you're always welcome here to make the case. Congressman Krishnamurthy, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I appreciate it very much. And I'll tell you something else. Krishnamurthy is a good example of why you shouldn't brush them all the same way also. All Democrats are the same. They're not. You know you agree with most of the points he just made. Is he as hard on Biden as you would be? No, but the guy's the head of his party, right? I mean, you got to give him a break on that. But Biden could fix this tomorrow morning by saying, that's it, let him challenge me in court. I'm closing it all because we're overwhelmed. And then let me shame the people in Congress to do something about it, to give me the resources I need to let us catch up. He's not doing the first part, and I think it will make all the difference. 4 minutes.